DisBand, which is the Much Music series that actually came out October of 2009. I was wondering if you would actually just tell us a bit more about the show itself. And the one thing I was always wondering, was that show like scripted? Did they give you lines, or was it just like the cameras just following you during your day-to-day
Yeah,
process?
let's say all of the above. Um, and like, I mean, Much Music is so gone now that I guess I can just kind of say everything. But the basically, like, we had already been in chats with Greg Norrie from Treble Charger, who was the guru on the show. We had been chatting to him, and we knew that he had, really found some 41, and we kind of thought we had gone through some very minor level stuff, but we knew that we had something special. We had been told enough by just some West Coast like smaller labels that, hey, this is a good product, and we knew we had more to offer and that Toronto was going to be the way to do that. So when Greg by chance found us on MySpace, oh, RIP MySpace, the glory days, we were really excited. I mean, I loved Treble Charger growing up, and we were really, really pumped. But I remember, and I think Pat just told this story when we were out in Toronto, so I'll make sure I get it right, but I'm pretty sure we were throwing the football around Edmonton. We all lived together in this really horrible house that honestly is like torn down now. No one should ever have to live there, but we all did, and we practiced it. Like Summer Girl was written there. I'll pay like homage to it every now and then, just a hole in the ground. But we were throwing the ball around, and Pat took a call, and it was Greg letting him know that he was going to be on this show, and he thought that'd be a really good opportunity for us to do it. So we were like, they said, look, it's going to be Ontario bands, and you guys are from Alberta, and we were like, look, we've been driving around playing. Like I've played El Paso, Texas 4 times before I turned 18. Like there's no such thing as distance. If you can get there on a road, we're gonna get there. And we drove out, we did it. Had quickly realized that we had never had experience of being on camera, so we're really awkward. I watch the episode every now and then. Some people, I mean, a lot of people in my life have had to sit through it with me, and we're like innocent children in it. So the first half, we had maybe a little bit of a heads up of what the idea would be, but a lot of it is quite pretty, like I would say, as authentic as you could possibly be. So they'd be like, okay, you guys are going to a photo shoot. What we didn't know at the photo shoot is it was going to be like 50 girls in like lingerie around us. So you see those genuine things. Now the second half, so we were the third band they ever filmed, but they decided that we were going to be the season finale. So the second half we filmed after we had already moved out there, had already signed. So you see us on TV like signing a contract after playing for Gene Simmons. Like we were, yes, not the smartest kids, but we would never do that with like a lawyer present. So a lot of that stuff had taken place, but still, just being around someone like Gene Simmons, it's pretty authentic. I would almost everything you see that seems like drama is scripted. And now that I've told you, if you ever see it again, oh, it's bad. It's bad acting. Thank God we went music and not film because it's bad. But I would say let's say 70% real, 30% something else, which has forever ruined reality TV for me.
See, I always thought about when I actually watched that show, whether it's just like, your guys' episode or previously, or just watching, just reality TV in general. I always said to myself, are those bands actually really fighting, or are they just, because you can watch some episodes and you sit back and you're like, holy shit, like this looks
Yeah,
legit. And then there's other episodes where you're like, why are you smiling while you're yelling? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Stuff like that,
totally,
right?
totally. And like any emotional response, truthfully, was pretty legit. It's good we're chatting about it because I just watched it again. There's just a couple things like where we pull up to this house they're giving us. Like we had lived in that house for like 3 months already. And oh man, the acting is so, I know all of us could do such a better job now, but I'd say like for everything that happened, like it legit happened the way you see it, other than the fact that we had signed the contract before that surprise we got off stage. Here's a contract, which is sick. I mean, that's what I thought it would be like in the big leagues anyway.
And when you said as well a few moments ago how you had the opportunity to meet Gene Simmons of Kiss, I do know at the beginning of the
Yeah,
interview you were speaking about being in California, looking at the bus stops and just seeing individuals like picturing like
yeah,
people like Nikki Sixx getting off, because obviously you have that rock and roll like background and you were a fan when you were a kid. Being there,
yeah,
as a young adult in the music industry at the very beginnings, being able to be in the same room as Gene Simmons, like, and also having
yeah.
to deal with being on camera at the exact same time, man. Like, what was actually going through your mind sitting there on camera with Gene Simmons?
It was wild, and it is in the show too. But he flew to Edmonton to see us play at like a local Edmonton bar, and I think that being in the limo with him in DisBand and then signing and stuff, that was exciting because that to me is something I've been working to for the first 22 years of my life at that point. So that was incredible. However, when we first find out that he was coming to see us, that was as much of a surprise as it could be. Now we like the five of us were wild. So when we heard there was going to be something going on in Edmonton, I don't know how we figured it out, but we had an idea that we had heard that he was trying to work with some Canada stuff, but it was still a shock. And I think about that show all the time, the first one in Edmonton where he was just watching us. And you know how they say, like, you know, you put an alter ego on or something, because even just thinking about it now, like this is so many years removed where we've had the success. I think like I still feel the nerves of it. So I feel like we just knew what a big deal it was. I mean, we all felt sick to our stomach. But as soon as we went up there, we believed in the product so much that I didn't really think of anything again until afterwards. However, I will say one thing, not the strongest handshake I've ever experienced in my life.
I gotta say that is actually surprising, but you were there, you experienced
Surprising.
this, so I'm definitely gonna take your word.
I know, I might have been an off day, but for like a mogul of business like that, and you can see on DisBand where he connects with me. I remember I was ready for like the grip of a python, you know, and it I don't know, maybe he just didn't think that much of me on it, but it was nerve wracking, and it's like it's the number one thing we got asked for a long time was what was it like working with Gene Simmons, and it's one of those people that it's like A-list celebrity you see on TV so much that when they're in front of your face, it's hard to distinguish that it's reality.